Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yogya ki jai. No, we don't want a verse on the board also. It is okay. Yes, thank you. Because today is a special occasion, the festival is going on. I think we should speak on the theme of the festival, the chanting of the holy name. And Sri Sri Radha Gopinath ki jai. So I was also thinking this morning, there is no verse on the board. And then I was thinking what to do about it. Maybe I should take a verse that everyone knows, or at least is supposed to know. So I thought I'll speak on the first verse of the Shiksastakam. That maybe we can manage all together. So those who do know may chant along with me. Cheto darpanam marjanam bhava mahadavakni nirvapanam Shreya kaireva chandrika vitaranam vidavajunivanam Anandam burivardhanam pratipadam purnam ritasvadanam Sarvatmasnapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. No, just one. Thank you. Very good. I'm going to open it up. Just a moment. Antya Lila chapter 20. Poof, poof, poof. Okay, it is. So I'm reading the translation of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which may be slightly different than the one that many of us have memorized. Translation. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. So, this is then the verse spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these verses are explained in the final chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it is nice, it takes the final words, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. So that is quite something. That is on a personal level and also on a collective, social level. Let there be victory for the chanting of the holy name. Let there be victory for prominence. Who is more prominent than Lord Krishna? But who is more prominent in our mind? That is a question. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, for most people, the heart and the mind are the same. He's saying, and my mind is like Vrindavan. And then speaking in the mood of Radharani to Krishna. So, if you so desire, you may please place your lotus foot in my mind. So Lord Chaitanya's mood, his mind, was like Vrindavan, and Vrindavan is the place which is fully manifest for the pleasure of Krishna. Everything in Vrindavan is simply dedicated to the pleasure of Krishna. And this was the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Our mind is a little different. Our mind is experiencing a certain amount of struggle to chant, struggle to just remain focused on the chanting of the holy name. Haridas Thakur, every day again was chanting 300,000 names. If one could do it one day, that would be quite a feat. That would be something. If we could do it one day. And then after that day, probably we need a holiday. So it's like, wow, that was a marathon. That was like, whoa, something else. I mean, but every day, again and again, that is love. It's only possible through love. I realized that very much when we were in Bangladesh, and we just across the border from India, there is Benapole, and Benapole is a very famous place dedicated to Haridas Thakur. Haridas was there chanting his quota of so many rounds, and it was then that a prostitute was arranged to make him fall down, and she came there in that place, and Haridas was just deeply absorbed in his chanting and not affected. So as we were supposed to go there, I was getting in the mood, so I was thinking, well, we're going to do a lot of chanting, right? And when I get to that place, I will just get deeply absorbed in chanting the holy name. And And we did, to an extent, although not as much as I wanted in my mind. But when we came there, I was kind of shocked because they had not only a deity of Haridas Thakur, but they also had a deity of Laksahira, the prostitute. So I was sort of looking like, oh. It kind of put her really in the foreground, and it changed my meditation, and I started to think, yes, it is amazing actually, because this prostitute, she was asked to take the constables of Ramachandra Khan with her, and then have union with Haridas, and Haridas would be arrested. Right? Then he said, no, first let me have union with him once, and on the second night you can send your constables. So that's interesting, I mean, because it shows that she had more than professional interest. Right? It was not only about money. There was also lust. So here is Laksahira, a symbol of lust. And there she was, a symbol of lust. And I had thought, I come to this place and I'm going to pray for the strength to chant the holy name. But what actually happened is my prayer changed, and I prayed to overcome lust. Because it was Laksahira who, by the mercy of Haridas Thakur, overcame lust, because by his influence her mind was changed, and she also started chanting Hare Krishna, and she also chanted 300,000 names every day. Yes. So, and Haridas then, told her, give everything, left everything and left her, and she just, from that day on, was chanting 300,000 names a day in that cottage. So she was transformed also to that point of love of God. Otherwise, how can you chant 300,000 names every day? We struggle with 16 rounds because of lack of love. Right? That is our immediate difficulty. Nonetheless, there is a description, Ishvara tadadinesu balisesu disatsucha prema maiti kripapeksha yakuruti samajama, which is that the definition given in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about the Madhyam Adhikari. And it says, a Madhyam Adhikari, for Isvara, he has prem. For the Adinesu, Maitri, friendship for the devotees. For the Baliseshu, he has Kripa. The Baliseshu are the ignorant, the innocent and the ignorant. Who are almost childish. Bala is also a word used for child. Baliseshu. Anyway, those who are ignorant and innocent, mercy. And for the Dvisatsu, for the envious ones, nirapeksha, indifference. So this is the Madhyam Adhikari. So it was interesting that the word prem was related to the Madhyam Adhikari, because generally speaking, when we speak about prem, we just put that uttama or uttam, right? Somewhere very high, very exalted in the ultimate stages of devotional service, beyond bhava. Bhava says prema suryamsu, a sun ray of prem in bhava. And now we're speaking about the full blast of the sun in the middle of the day. I guess the analogy is India. And we can think, yes, that is prem in the analogy. But Yet what the Madhyam Adhikari is experiencing is also described as prem, also, and that is interesting. And why is it interesting? Because it establishes that Krishna prem is not something alien, right? It may exist in a less mature form and in a fully matured form, but it is of the same nature. And because it is of the same nature, we can have a hint, even in our current state, of what it's like to chant with pure love. Even if there are some moments of chanting with inspiration, even if there are moments. Kirtan is particularly emphasized because Lord Chaitanya's movement is based on Sankirtan. It is not that after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and then of course there was a huge transformation. After he had received the mantras, there was a ceremony and everyone was seeing the sadness. This beautiful young man, he was doing what he should not be doing, renouncing life, basically. How could he at such a young age? And cutting his hair, the barber didn't want to do it. But somehow or other, he did it anyway. After he had done it, the barber never shaved anyone's head again. He gave up his profession. He became a sweet maker. And that barber, it is said, later on, after he expired, they, first of all, the hair of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they placed it in a samadhi in Katwa. And later when the barber died, they put his samadhi next to it. It's still there today. So just shaving the head of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was something people couldn't tolerate it. People were just losing it. They were pulling the hair out of their head, seeing it and crying. It said, this is too much. And then everyone went into utter depression. How can he take sannyas? This is not justified. This is not proper. This is like, is this dharma? Dharma is not fair, and so on. And then suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he had actually taken the vows and sannyas, was complete. At that point, what he had kept hidden in his heart for so long, that love of God, it just burst out of his heart. And with that, he himself threw himself in the air in the greatest ecstasy. And he was just, it was so overpowering. Everyone went from the deepest depression to the greatest ecstasy. And suddenly everyone flew up in the air and started dancing in total ecstasy. And this ecstatic kirtan, which then unfolded, carried on for quite some time, and there was more of that. After that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with a wave of kirtan, was just flooding villages as he was heading towards South India. So, in this way, we can appreciate the potency of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And villagers became attracted to the kirtan, and villagers forgot themselves, forgot their purpose, what they were supposed to do. They just forgot, and they just became so absorbed in the kirtan, they forgot everything else. Some people then went looking for missing family members because they forgot to go home. So some people came to watch and see where is uncle? Where is uncle? Yes, and then they saw uncle and dancing in so much ecstasy that they also began to dance in the same ecstasy, and they also forgot. Whole villages emptied out. These are the descriptions, and it is just so we can see how specifically Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name, is at the core of this movement. And then that congregational chanting is also taken back in just chanting privately the holy name in japa, as we see in the example of Haridas Thakur. Yes, this is the most amazing quality of the holy name, that it transforms us and that it gradually awakens in us transcendental love. And I'll just quickly open up the verses. I'm looking for a quick verse that I want to read. Chandra. No. Just a moment. No. It's not meant to be, or what? No, can't find it. All right, then we will not find it. But it describes two personalities. It describes how Chandrasekhar Acharya, the sovereign of the Brahmanas, is dancing on the waves of kirtan in such a way that he just loses his gravity. Normally, he is a little serious. He's a Brahmana, but he loses his gravity. He just becomes completely playful and ecstatic. It said Gopinath Acharya was creating waves of music on which he would dance while chanting japa. So that's also very beautiful, japa. I mean, japa which are like waves of music that make one dance. So the promises about this chanting are something extraordinary. And we read about such promises. Tunda Tandavini, we read Tundavali Labdyate. We read how the chanting is, Krishna is dancing on the tongue in the form of the holy name, and Rupa Goswami says he wants millions of tongues and millions of ears, but we are not experiencing. We are not experiencing it. We chant and yes, over time, it certainly becomes a part of us. And it is potent. It is potent. The chanting remains in our consciousness. It becomes a daily thing, and it is something that becomes part of our second nature. The mantra also continues in our head, internally. All such things may be possible over time, but waves of ecstatic music on which we dance while chanting japa is yet another level. So we hear about the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are immersed in an ocean of transcendental love. We are also in that ocean of transcendental love, somehow or other, but yet in consciousness, still not free, to really penetrate deep, to dive deep. Chetu darpana marjanam. Still more cleaning to do. Will it ever get clean? And yet, with time, time does do wonders in Krishna consciousness. It does go deeper into the heart. Yes. The spirit of Sankirtan is the spirit of glorifying Krishna and relishing the sharing of that mercy. And it is that sharing of the mercy that brings about the change. It is there where the change comes. If we really want to change, and if we really want to go beyond the level of struggle, and beyond the level of somehow or other, a whole light of struggle, we'll have to become a Sankirtan devotee. We'll have to have that spirit of just living to give the mercy to others, and to expand the mercy and to increase the mercy in the world. It's the only way to get above our selfishness. Otherwise, always struggling with selfish desires, personal desires, and struggling with sadhana, and struggling. Yes. That struggle with the material energy will be overcome through particularly Harinam Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada completely embodied this mood, right? That's what it was about, preaching, someone sharing, reaching out. That was his focus, and that was everybody's focus. That was everybody's focus. If we look at the earlier days of this movement, it was just preaching, and everything else was very secondary. It was also there, but not so developed, not much time for that. There was not a great distinction between Grihastha life and Brahmachari life. It was also preaching, Things developed over the years, and we started living a life in the material world. Before, the focus was more the preaching mission. All right, we could not just think so much about that all the time. But those who really took it, this mission, and who took it, this mission to uplift others, they became the leaders. They became the effulgent personalities in this movement. That is where the effulgence of Krishna and the effulgence of Krishna's holy name becomes known to us, and nowhere else. If we try to imitate Haridas Thakur and chant 300,000 names, it will not be possible to chant them in love. We would chant them in austerity. Now, to chant 300,000 names in a spirit of austerity is very austere. One has to be then a great tapasvi to do it in that way. As I said, that will be hard then to carry on. Therefore, Prabhupada's interest was that we chant a minimum of 16 rounds and some more, but that then we would be absorbed in sharing Krishna consciousness. And that eagerness to share Krishna consciousness, that must remain. And Krishna consciousness means, in particularly, this Panchanga Bhakti, these 5 principal limbs of devotional service, out of which the chanting of Hare Krishna is the first and foremost. And then, Rita is doing yoga. I'm getting inspired. Yes. The 5 principal limbs of bhakti. The chanting of the holy name, Mathuravas residing in the holy Dham, Bhagavat Sravan, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sadhu Sangha, the association of the devotees, Sri Murtira Shradaya Sevaya, to serve the deities with great faith. One can serve the deities, but one must serve them with great faith that Krishna is really there, really manifest. So like that, by serving in these 5 principal ways, and the holy name being the topmost, that is where we reside. We reside in these 5 activities. That is home. Boma ijadi, to think that the land of one's birth is one's home, that is the bodily concept of life. Right? But home is where these 5 activities are going on. That's where it's happening. Right? Whether it's a discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, today Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is an extension of Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's about the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who embodied the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Chaitanya, his whole life embodies the Bhagavatam. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is the expansion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Nectar of Devotion is basically connecting the Pancharatra conclusions with Srimad Bhagavatam. Most evidence in the Nectar Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is very central. The chanting of the holy name is very central. The deities are very central. The devotees are central. And the holy Dham is very central. And that spirit of the holy Dham, that spirit of worship, that spirit of elaborate worship, that is Vrindavan. Therefore, we see Radha Gopinath, and it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Krishna manifests in this world, that the holy Dham also manifests along with him. And therefore, the Dham manifests. So the Dham is manifest here in this temple. It is manifest. Of course, the manifestation will only last as long as the temple is there and as long as the deity is there. Then after, it again will cease its manifestation. Whereas the holy Dhams on this planet, they are eternal. It's that even when the whole planet is destroyed, everything is gone, but the holy Dhams are still there. They're eternal. Right? They're still present. So So it is very interesting. Prabhupada started New Mayapur, New Vrindavan, and all such kind of places, and was actually invoking the presence of these places. And Prabhupada pointed out in New Vrindavan that actually Vrindavan is fully manifest. But the distinction is there, right? So here, Vrindavan is certainly very much manifest. And the more we glorify Gopinath and the more we serve Gopinath, the more wonderful they will manifest. They will manifest the transcendental reality. In Jaipur, of course, we always love to go to the Govindaji temple and see all the people there with so much enthusiasm worshipping the deity, and two pujaris stand on the altar with water, right? One holds the pot and the other one throws, and everyone gets plenty. Bring an umbrella if you're afraid of water. Tulsi leaves are given out at the side. People run to the side, take the tulsi leaves. Someone else scores the Mahaprasadam and stands there and distributes it to everyone. And kirtan is going on. Old men are absorbed in kirtan. It's alive. It's totally alive. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Beautiful, beautiful kirtan, very beautiful. So, yes, when we are there, we feel bhakti is awakening in our heart. We just, hearing about it, we feel, yes, I want to go, isn't it? He said, yeah, it's been a long time since I was there. I want to go. Yes, a desire awakens. Then, in more recent years, they built another temple, a Birla temple in Jaipur. And Birla's a famous family and they are very nice. But I went to the temple in Jaipur. It's a nice building, marble carved and this and that. And I came, but then I saw that all they offered to the deities were these little white sugar balls, which they have in India, so sort of like some prasad. It wasn't the same. It didn't bring out the same love. So the more the Vaishnavas worship, the more the deity will manifest, and the more the deity will manifest the holy Dham, and the more the Vaishnavas worship the deity, the more the deity will awaken a desire to chant. So this year, this is the best Radhadesh Mellows of all. Because this year, we're chanting in front of Radha Gopinath. The community hall, of course, is very nice. And Chota Radha Gopinath, they come to the community hall, and I appreciate that. But seeing Radha Gopinath here on their royal altar, that is special, a special gift. Something like we're reading in the Bhagavatam at the moment, how Lord Brahma stole the calves and cowherd boys, and for 1 year, Krishna took the place of all these calves and cowherd boys, and the residents of Vrindavan, in this way their desire was fulfilled. So it's true, I had this secret desire for a long time to get out of that hall and chant in front of Radha Gopinath. And I'm sure it's not only me. I think all of us were sort of missing that bigger temple room where we could all just chant in front of the deities. Because there, the chanting takes another dimension. It takes another dimension when we chant for the pleasure of the deities. So, this year, the festival has that special flavor. We chant in front of the deities, in the association of devotees, and the waves are going through cyberspace all over the world, the waves of this kirtan. And there are now kirtan parties everywhere. In Alachua, they are having a tree just like we have, and they're sitting there chanting. And even Satchinandan Maharaj in his house where he's chanting, he's got a tree behind him. Did you see it? They specially brought it in for the occasion. So in this way, everyone has the tree, the wish-fulfilling desire tree of the holy name that can transform everything and bring good fortune. Let there be victory. Let there be victory for the chanting of the holy name. Let that holy name conquer our hearts and drive out all the unwanted confusion, all the madness, all the sadness, all the badness. Let it all disappear from our heart, and let it also disappear from the world. Let it all go away. And let this Radhadesh Mellows grow and grow. And let let each year build on the other year. And let it get bigger and bigger. Let it increase. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be a victory. So, now that we have the high-tech stuff, we're not going back. Next year, whether there will be 1,000 people here or however many, I don't know, whatever may be, but let at the same time there be a kirtan in Alachua as well. And let it be everywhere. Let there be kirtan. Let Radhadesh Mellows continue to be all over the world. Let it grow. Let it grow. And let it grow, and let it drive out all the madness and all the sadness and all the badness out of this world. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan, and plunge us into an ocean of transcendental prema. And suddenly, serious people, they become like children. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a description of water pastimes in Indrajumna Sarovar near the Gundicha temple. And then it is water fights are taking place. And it is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a scholar, a very respectable scholar, if you know what I mean, quite well known for his deep shastric renditions, and he's in a water fight with Advaita Acharya, and they're acting like boys, like kids, And in the same way, the day may come that we will see such transcendental water fights in the ocean of prema, and that we'll see how Hridaya Chaitanya turns into like some sort of frivolous child instead of being serious as he usually is. But he's laughing behind his mask. So yes, let us see the transformations that will come from this chanting, but let's not be blind to the transformations that are already there because of this chanting. And there are more than we think. There are more than we think. And it will gain more and more momentum. And so, let us see the miracles. And the Radhadesh Mellows is more than just a transcendental entertainment program for the Hare Krishna community that needs a little bit good kirtan. in the middle of a lockdown, the Radhadesh Mellows is more and more becoming part of the transformation of the world. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any comments? Wow. Usually when I drink water, that's when people have questions. Something magic about that. It's true. I'll try that. Yes.
In the translation, you gave a different Chaitanya, it talks about the mirror, and that's an analogy that's used a lot, the soul and the mirror. Why a mirror? I can't.
Yes, thank you. That is a very nice question. The mirror of the heart, or the mirror of consciousness. So, a mirror is reflecting. A mirror is not independent. A mirror, therefore, is meant, it can show us many amazing images, but only in reflecting something else. Mirrors don't come up with images of their own. Right? Mirrors always are reflecting. So that is the nature of the heart. Our hearts are like mirrors that are meant to reflect something that we love. And that's what we're doing in this world. We love this, we love that, we love this person, we love that. But the greatest love is when we reflect Krishna. And that's the idea. So the heart is a mirror, and we just should reflect Krishna in that heart. And therefore, through all the senses, we are getting more and more impulses about Krishna, and our working senses we use in the service of Krishna. And all that comes back to the heart, which then starts to carry the image of Krishna, the mirror of the heart. And it said now the dust that has covered the mirror, and Prabhupada in one lecture says that in this age of Kali right now, in this very materialistic age, so much dust is thrown up. Right? A lot of dust is thrown up by all this engaging with all these material things. So many material things, it all throws up so much dust, which covers the mirror now, like that. The mirror will be cleansed by the chanting, undoubtedly. So let us chant. Anyone else? Yes. Yes, Anuradha.
Thank you for a wonderful lecture. I don't know which kind of pastimes it was this, but I remember, I don't know which pastime was the name of pastime, but I remember that it was a tree, and devotees were dancing on the tree, on the branches of the tree. They are so in ecstasy.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know the name of the pastime.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, welcome. Yeah, this Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. Good. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in the Antyakanda, which verse number is it again, where Nityananda's pastimes are taking place? Which chapter is it? Oh. Okay. You remember, Sanjay? The Nityananda chapter, which one? 7. Okay, 7 or 8. We were talking about it the other day. And Lord Nityananda is staying in the area of Saptagram and Panihati for 3 months. And Lord Nityananda is performing so many pastimes there, and he has these amazing kirtans, and the whole area, it's all about kirtans. It is there where these boys were fasting for 30 days. It is there where and they just kept on going, and they weren't eating, drinking, nothing, just kirtan, and they were becoming so ecstatic. They were ripping trees out of the ground, and it said, and at the end of the 30 days, they're so excited and so full of energy. Meanwhile, old men were not just sitting still either. Old men, they jumped up in the trees, and they were dancing on the branches of the trees and even on the little twigs, and the twigs didn't break. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so those are the miracles that took place when Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were present and were performing their pastimes. And don't think it is not true. Don't think it is exaggerated. And so, if it happened there, it can happen here as well. It's anyone else? Okay, then we'll meet again later on in Kirtan. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda.